This is Michael Shapiro. Welcome to Interplay Conversations in Music. Today I have two wonderful guests, singer Devony Smith and pianist Danny Zelibor, who have a wonderful duo, and we're going to talk about everything they've been doing, plus a new recording that's just come out. So, Devony, you apparently sing with breathtaking, tear-jerking empathy.
Someone once said that.
It was me.
It's Danny. It wasn't me, folks. I'm sorry, but I can just imagine it's probably the case. So let's talk about first a little bit of background for people who don't know who you are, just very quickly. Devony, where did you study and why now being a singer in this crazy world we're living in?
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. It's a wild choice, but I love what I do. I got my bachelor's degree from Pepperdine University, where I studied in their opera program, which at the time was led by the great tenor Henry Price, who used to sing a lot with Beverly Sills at New York City Opera. So he was sort of the person that pulled me into classical singing. I grew up in a really musical family, a family of pianists, actually. My uncle's a jazz pianist. My mom is a pianist arranger and does a lot of work in church music. So I was raised as a pianist, and Henry plucked me out of that, and now I'm a singer.
And also a very good pianist. It's quite annoying.
Yeah, I keep my piano chops going when I can, but and then I got my master's degree at Bard College under the direction of the vocal arts program under the direction of Don Upshaw, who was a wonderful mentor to me.
I studied there, by the way, conducting.
I saw that with Harold Farberman.
Harold Farberman, yeah.
Yeah, who I worked with while I was there.
Did you really? Yeah, he was a piece of work. Let's put it that
way. He was.
And Danny, you studied piano where?
My undergrad was at TCU in Fort Worth, where I'm from, and I studied with Tomasz Ungar there. Then I did a grad degree at UNT, and I was actually thinking back on this earlier this morning. I hadn't thought about it in a long time, but I remember Ungar like reaching up after a couple years. I'd worked with him, and he saw the writing on the wall. And he grabbed this like dusty book off of his shelf and handed it to me. It's like, I think you should look into this. And it was something like The Art of Accompanying. You know, this is back in the days of when we called it accompanying and not collaborative piano. And of course, at that point, highly resistant to the idea, just like viscerally was not okay with with the notion. And I don't know if I gave the book back to him or if I don't know what I did, but I ignored him. And then years later, when I was at UNT, I had finished my grad degree in solo piano and was going to start a doctorate. And I did. I had asked my teacher there about the notion of maybe veering more collaborative, and he grumbled and mentioned how he like played a violin recital in Europe and they didn't even put my name on the program. And so it was a no-go from him, but I knew the second that doctorate started that it was a mistake for me. And so under the cover of darkness, later that year, I went and I auditioned at Juilliard and MSM, and thanks to just a really terrible sight reading incident at Juilliard, did not get in there, but got into MSM and studied with Warren Jones, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made for myself.
It's great. So you've been there, both of you, and now you're in the cold world.
The cold heating up world, yeah.
But first, Devony, I want to ask you, you were mezzo soprano, correct?
Yes.
And the roles that you have done, obviously, Hansel and Gretel, Cherubino, and the Nozze di Figaro. I've seen Cenerentola as Cinderella, and Dido, one of my all-time favorites. Is it just amazing how Purcell just knocked that out and then died? I mean, it's just crazy.
It's wild.
It's wild. But it's so many different things. But you also choose to do new rep, okay? Mm-hmm. And Danny, you are, quotes, collaborative pianist or accompanist, but
Right.
you must also do solo work as well, I assume.
I do. It gets ends up getting sort of sprinkled in sort of grab bag concerts. I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time I did a full solo recital. I mean, the lion's share of what I'm doing now is indeed collaborative,
Is that in the New
and
York?
with Devony, a whole lot of it
Is that in
with
the New
Devony.
York area?
All over New York, Canada. Um,
I'll brag
we
on
were just
Danny.
in Maine,
Yeah, I was gonna say
doing a
I'll
bunch of
brag on
stuff.
Danny a little bit because
Go ahead.
we just finished a week singing and playing at the Screen Door Festival with Bay Chamber in Camden, Maine. And Danny and I had our own work there, but Danny did many incredible feats outside of our duo with um, what was
Mhm.
the revel you played with
Oh, it's
vi-
Segan.
the Cigan with
Great.
fabulous
Pouliot.
violinists, and so
That was
he
a scary
is
first play.
he knocked it out of the park. Very accomplished chamber musician as well.
Well, I don't know if I mentioned, but you just mentioned Sagana, but I was at Ravel's house in L'Enfant-la-Marie,
Mm.
Enfant-la-Marie in France, outside of Paris, which was Ravel's house. It's still very much the way he left it. There's little toys and birds doing all kinds of stuff. But I
Because he
played
liked
on his,
miniature. He liked miniature things,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And some
Yeah.
of them are pornographic.
Really?
Yes. So in any event,
Well, now I have to go.
it's magnificent, and they take you through it. And his hat that he wore, his steel hat that he wore during First World War when he was an ambulance
Wow.
driver, as was Wolf
Right.
von Williams. It was really something to see and very moving.
Hmm.
His bed is there. His all his little things that he would take care of his, you know, hairs. Everything is
Wow.
still there
Wow.
in the bathroom. In any event, and you played on Brahms piano, which was clunky.
Yeah, yeah. It was not. It was not the moving experience I was hoping for
It
at
never
all.
is. It never is.
Right. Yeah. It's a
I will tell
metaphor.
you, as a composer, it's what's here that counts, not what's.
I'll take that.
So let's get back to what you're doing, Devony, too. Why certain repertoire and not others? Or are you at the stage where I'll take whatever I get because I need to work?
Yeah, I mean, we could put it that way. um,
It never
I
changes, by the way.
yeah,
I know. I was gonna say. I think that's a through line.
that's one way to put it. I do feel though I think my standard more lies with who do I want to be working with and what kind of art do I want
Mhm.
to be making. I think that is the for me the standard that has risen to the top in this, not necessarily like I'm only doing this music or I'm only doing this music. I enjoy having a versatile sort of schedule throughout the year of doing. I have usually one or two more traditional shows and then a lot of contemporary music and a lot of different kind of interesting concert work, and it keeps me on my toes, keeps me stimulated, and also keeps my the technical sort of focus that I need to have in my voice and my body and instrument sharp. So I feel like I'm
Mhm.
figuring out that balance as through the diversity of repertoire.
Let's talk about repertoire choice. How would you choose certain new music and other new music not?
Yeah, I'm pretty game to try things. I think as a mezzo I run into less. I think I was a soprano ever so long ago and was doing new music at that time. And I would say I had to be more choosy as a soprano picking new music repertoire than I have to be as a mezzo, because typically you're not dealing with, um, as a mezzo, you're dealing with really singable stuff. And I'm always down to try what people have written. I think as a soprano, sometimes there are so many variations of soprano. Sometimes you get a piece that is not necessarily written for you. Um, but I like trying on new composer and musical languages and seeing what fits and seeing what inspires me and deciding if I want to continue working with this person's music. Um, and yeah, I think that's sort of how I try it. I try something on and see if it's a fit, if the collaboration is a fit, if the music is a fit, and we go from there.
It's
Danny,
been
do you sometimes recommend pieces to Devony?
I think we have a vibrant text thread where frequently stuff will, we'll come across things and we will fire it away at each other. So it's kind of part of our usual interaction, finding new rep or things that we might be interested in down the road. And I think to an earlier point of hers, it's one thing that I think we've learned together is we can have very visceral reactions to certain kinds of music or certain songs or certain composers. But one thing that we've found is that some of the stuff, whether it's like in a set and we have to learn the whole set, or we're assigned certain things for a concert, and several times we have started with like, oh God, we hate this song. It's our absolute least favorite. We hate it. We talk trash about it. The whole process. And then like 2/3 of the way through, somehow that one that we hated so deeply ends up becoming one of our favorites in the end. So I think to kind of be patient and wait it out and see what we enjoy and what works for us. And yeah,
Here's the thing that I find fascinating. I learned it very early. I sent some of my early songs, my canciones based on Lorca poetry, to Stephen Sondheim, who was very good about looking at stuff and getting back.
Yeah.
And he wrote back, we had multiple correspondence, but he wrote back at that time saying that he doesn't know anything about art song. He only knows about song in the context of a drama.
Huh.
He was very open about it. But he thought I was doing it well, which made me feel really good. But think about that for a second. Some art song, we think of the Shepherd on the Rock, or, it's kind of a scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's other songs, if you look at some of the Schumann songs, which are very contained. The Ives songs, they're contained. My songs, opposed to my arias, they're contained. They're in the poetry that is presented.
Yes.
That's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
Is it not, Devony?
Yeah, it's not in the genre of art song. I think you can have a collection of songs that lean more into the theatrical narrative and the theatrical arc, and others that do not. I think the music that we chose for our album reflects that, because we have really strong narrative sets and others that live in the world of each poem that is set. And I'm really interested in both in the sort of medium of art song.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the Mark Adamo set is one of the most intriguing in this regard, because like, Mark being a man of the theater, he took it's the piece is The Racer's Widow, and it's one of the ones that's piano or voice, piano, cello, and mezzo specifically. And he took 5 completely unrelated poems from 5 different poets, and he crafted this narrative arc that tells the tale of a love story, essentially. But it is incredible how he made this cohesive unit out of 5 unrelated portions of poetry. It's quite effective what he does.
How did it come to you
in that regard? This would have been pre-COVID, just before, and it was through American Composers Orchestra. Mark had been commissioned by them to write a cello concerto, and so as part of the celebration of that, they had a recital in honor of the concerto, and it was myself, a mezzo and a cellist, and they put this piece on a concert that night. So that was my first introduction to it.
That's the cello concerto that Inbal Segev did recently, I think, right?
Correct. Yeah. It's being performed. Was that the one in Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a friend, and I've known Mark since he started dating John. So.
Oh.
I can't tell stories about that online, so we're going to continue.
This is one of my favorite stories, and this is an okay one, but they talk about one of their friends saying, once they originally met, saying, "Oh, John's boyfriend has written an opera," which of course was
That's
Little
just,
Women and became a
yeah,
huge deal. But I just love that.
that's pretty funny. Um, in any event, going back to selection of compositions,
Mm,
as I mentioned in your recent recording, I know several people on Jennifer and I have been friends for a long time.
Oh,
Jennifer Higdon, she's a lovely, lovely person, and her wife
she
Cheryl.
is.
I
I
adore
love
them.
them.
And I know David Lang's music. I don't know him. I premiered one of Eve's pieces a long time ago, but I never met her.
Oh, which one?
But I forget. It was a children's thing. But Will Liverman writes music. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, it's
So he
he does.
I he I think started sort of making his arrangements and compositions public during the pandemic.
Wow.
Uh, and I had heard he has a strong sort of gospel piano background, which I think both Danny and I related culturally immensely to, because we both were raised in gospel churches and played gospel piano and have those chops ourselves. So we had heard Will's arrangements um, on videos popping up during the pandemic. So I've sort of had my eye on that part of his artistic world for a while, and it goes without saying his singing is incredible. Um, but he just has put out 2 albums of the poetry of Paul Dunbar, um, and so we knew that we wanted to ask him to do one of the commissions on our record, and so he wrote 2 of those songs.
So let me
Mhm.
get back to the setting of words.
Yeah,
For a composer, and this is what I would tell you as performers to really look for, is something that Aaron used to talk about, was that, and he wasn't a great, Aaron was not, to me, was a great instrumental composer, not
Mm.
known for vocal music, really. But he used to say that he was asked, how do you choose a poem to set? And he would say, well, there has to be something in the words that lacks music and needs music to make it soar,
mm,
Huh.
which was very interesting from somebody. But Aaron was extremely smart, and he would
yeah,
say these kinds of things. I know when I am finding words to set, if it's in a dramatic setting, it's a whole different ballgame.
Mm.
But if it's a song, art song, let's say, that's not the dramatic thing that you've talked about, but it's a poem that is being set to music. You cannot set most of Shakespeare to music except when he has a song, because there's so much sound in what he's doing
yeah.
already. It's true of some other, Whitman's another example, except for a few things here and there. Do you think some composers don't know how to set words?
Oh,
Ebony?
sure.
Oh yeah.
Why? No, because I was trained. I was trained by Ellie Siegmeister, who was a wonderful song composer, in prosody, and I went to a lot of Broadway, and I know all the Broadway scores. I coached a lot of them. You know, if it doesn't come through right away with the word connected to the music, then it falls flat. But talk about that, Devony. I mean, you have to be able to. I'm sure your dictions are great. Why do some composers really hit it and some don't? Can you say?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think there are obvious answers to that. There are obvious issues in text setting and in incorrect beats on significant or insignificant words. All of those things present issues, but I think that beneath the obvious things, um, I think a lack of understanding of how a voice works
Mm.
can result in poor text setting. I think as a singer, that is the most frustrating one for me, um, because
Mm,
a composer can be, I can even be passionate about the way that a composition sounds, but if there is not an understanding of the function of the voice, then the text is going to be obscured.
correct.
um, and that is where I start advocating for a change in what I'm singing.
She
And
does it really.
sometimes
It's
I
one of my
don't get it.
favorite things. Oops.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Danny.
Well, she's Devony's very good at when the three of us are in a room with a composer, let's say, watching her, to use her word, advocate for a different text setting or a different inflection. Um, you know, she does it with an incredible amount of tact. And where was it that you where were you teaching? You were helping composers with their new songs. Was that mostly modern, or where was
Hmm.
that?
Yeah.
I think that's really cool work that she's done. Is if you want to talk about that real quick.
Yeah, I sometimes have worked with younger composers on writing for voice, which I'm almost more passionate about than working with young singers. um, because I do so much work with really fine composers and really wonderful up and coming composers. I find it really fulfilling to work with younger composers and talk about the voice and the possibilities of the voice. I think composers, younger composers, or composers who are less familiar writing for the voice can get frustrated at the vocal medium because it is complicated, and when things are not right, nobody's happy. Like the composer isn't happy with how it's coming across, and I am not happy singing it. So I find that working with people who are developing their skills as vocal writers and text setters really, really fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
It's not only the prosody, but it's getting underneath the poem
Mm-hmm.
and pushing it forward, giving it
Yes.
something in Aaron's words that wasn't there before. Let's talk about this fellow behind me. That's Mozart for for the podcast purposes. For the video, you all can see it's the famous Josef Lange's half-done portrait of Mozart. He didn't write many art songs, we know that. It was pretty
Mm-hmm.
much before the development. But he was one of the greatest tunesmiths of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the role of melody in writing songs. Now, opera's a whole different story again. Let's talk about songs. How many tunesmiths are there in
Oh.
your experience? Now, alive, breathing.
I'm
Because isn't melody crucial, a great melodic sense? And I'm not talking Rachmaninoff melody. I'm talking the melody of a human being alive today dealing with a poem of any kind. And if there is a great melodic underpinning, suddenly these songs can soar. They're
Mm-hmm.
rare. So don't you think it's rather rare?
I'm sure.
A
Yes.
loaded question to
It's a
Devon.
loaded
I know.
question.
I'm trying to figure out how to tread carefully here. um, I'm sort of mentally going through a catalog of
I
people we've
think
worked
I
with,
will
and
I will say that Danny and I are drawn to tunesmiths, as I think a lot of the composers that we've compiled on this album are strong melodic writers. Um,
Now,
and
why?
why are we
why?
drawn to them?
And why
Or
is melody so important in an art song?
Well, it takes on. I mean, it's what represents the character of
Yeah.
the poetry.
And of the person
Mm,
singing it.
mm-hmm.
You know, when we're phrasing with, I do a lot of conducting with orchestras, as you may know. And when you get an orchestra that really can phrase and
mm,
breathe
Mm-hmm.
and introduce line as opposed to other line that may be going against it, it's
Mm.
music making of the highest order. And I've seen this with great singers also that can
Yeah.
just breathe with the phrase. Others that clunk along, boring.
yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
But when they can suddenly just, you know, so I'm assuming what I'd love to understand is your choice of repertoire, you know. So you say you're drawn to a composer that can use melody to express what's ever in the poem, whether it's a dramatic or whether it's just self-contained. So I'd like to ask you both, Devony, what is next for you in the many things that you do, and where do you want to go?
Yeah. What is next for me? I head into a fall of concert making and premiering new works with companies in New York. So that's sort of my next chapter. Um, I have an ongoing relationship with the Albany Symphony, who has me back a couple times every year, and they're a symphony that does a lot of that commissions a lot of music. So I get to premiere a lot of things with them and have built a relationship with their conductor, David Allen Miller.
He does great stuff.
Um, and yeah, they're really incredible. So I'm really interested in these longer term collaborative ventures that I am on and the development of music. And while we're on the topic of it, not every piece that I premiere I love, but I do believe that it's my job to find something in it and communicate it. But I think that that's the beauty of this line of work, of um, championing new work and figuring out the value in things that come across my plate.
It's great.
Yeah.
Danny, what's up for you?
Next thing up, I head back to Maine to workshop a new opera there. I don't know, our friend Jordan Pitts, he also sings in drag as Creatine Price, is his stage name. And so ICA out of Boston has commissioned a big work that'll be like a one person opera from him. So gonna head to Maine and work on that. I'm starting working in the opera department at Manus this fall, which will be fun.
My old place too.
And right,
Cool.
yeah. And
Carl Bamberger was my teacher.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just a bunch of one-off concerts sprinkled here and there, both classical and cabaret stuff. Nice. Keep the variety up.
Do the two of you have anything planned to work together on?
We have another recording idea kind of waiting in the wings. That we'll keep close to our chest for now. and
I will say it has to do with one of the composers on the album that was released in June, that we want to dig into their rep a little bit more. We have one of their songs on our current album, and we want to do a whole album of their stuff.
Right.
So that's coming up. And we have concerts with Brooklyn Art Song Society this season coming up. And
nice.
Yeah.
I know I've had friends who've worked there, like Scott Wheeler and
oh yes.
Oh, we were just at Scott's place
apartment
after one of the last concerts.
They're very close friends.
Yeah,
we were actually together at Aaron's house last year up I live in Chappaqua, that's just north of me, where Aaron's house was.
Oh, very cool.
In Cortland Manor, yeah. Last question is, in the opera world, Devony, don't you think that your work as a solo recitalist with Danny has made your opera singing so much better?
So much. Yes.
Why?
100%. I think I'm not afraid as an opera singer to make all kinds of sounds. Obviously I want to be audible. That is very important. It's awkward when you're not audible in opera. I do understand that. But I think that the colors that I am able to sing with, and just sort of a vocal fearlessness that I bring from art song greatly enriches what I do operatically. And some people like that and some people don't, and I don't really care. But I am grateful for the versatility that I can bring across these sorts of categories of classical singing. And I like what that makes me. So
I think it's a two-way street too.
Very much so.
The opera informs the art song.
Annie, your chamber music playing, you think it has helped you in accompanying someone like Devony?
Yeah, I mean, it all is sharpening your ear and your color palette. I mean, you're just constantly having to draw from different aspects of your playing. It was interesting because, again, I most of my playing is with singers, and being back at Bay Chamber in Maine last week, I caught myself in rehearsal we're premiering song cycle by Matthew Ricketts with string quintet, piano, and baritone, and I caught myself playing like a vocal pianist. I was like, well, hold up, have to like switch gears, and that was a nice. It was nice to inhabit that part of my playing again.
Well, you have to listen to each other and see, try to have this community of playing. It's not always wonderful, but when you have the greatest players like you and singers, it suddenly just blossoms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have to thank you both, Devony Smith, Danny Zelibor, for being on Interplay Conversations in Music. This is wonderful.
Thank you for
Michael.
having
Thank
us.
you. It's been
This
a
was
treat.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Great to be with you both. This is Michael Shapiro for Interplay Conversations in Music, your host. Look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.